One of the biggest cameras coming out this year for the video market has come from our local friends down the road at Blackmagic. So today we're going to have a look at the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K and we're going to see what it's all about. As stated in the name, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera is a camera dedicated to solely taking videos. Now comparing this to any other cinema camera out there, such as the Ursa Mini or the Canon C series, you'll notice that the Pocket Cinema is a lot smaller and compact compared to the other cameras. The Pocket Cinema is made from a really lightweight carbon fiber construction and resembles somewhat similar to a DSLR in its form factor. And unlike a DSLR, you'll notice the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema is unusually wide, and that is because it houses a large 4K 5-inch touchscreen at the back of the camera, which really reduces the need for a monitor. However, if you do want to get a bigger monitor, for example a 7-inch, and get used to all those features and LUTs that you have already loaded onto your monitor, then there is a full-size HDMI port on the Pocket Cinema for you to output your video. So navigating through the UI of the Pocket Cinema 4K, it's quite simple to use and it's very similar to the Ursa Mini layout. One of the best things about the Pocket Cinema with its large screen is that you can really easily navigate through the menus and change your settings, as it really is all on the screen. You can change your frame rates, your ISO, your aperture, just with simple touches and sliding up and down a bar, and you'll get where you'll need to go very quickly. Now, there is no joystick on the camera, so it is very reliant on the touchscreen. So make sure to keep your screen nice and protected and keep it in care when in transit. In terms of the buttons on the Pocket Cinema camera, you've got every essential features and buttons that you need, such as your ISO button, focus buttons, your playback, and even at the top, a photo mode, which you're able to take 8 megapixel screenshots when recording video, so you can just grab the stills straight out of there. In terms of ports on the camera, you've got a various amounts of ports available to you. You've got a headphone port as well as a microphone port, and then you've got a full-size HDMI, as I've mentioned earlier, to output your video feed. And at the bottom, you've got multiple power options. You've got a 12-volt power supply, which you can run the camera whilst it's recording, and you also have a USB-C port, which does not charge the camera when you are recording. However, if you have the camera off, you'll be able to just give your camera a bit of juice in that downtime. And lastly, in terms of other audio options, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema does have a mini XLR port, which is really awesome for people who want to run XLR system microphones that need phantom power. At the front of the camera, you have 2 internal microphones, which are full stereo. So one of the coolest things about the camera is that you can assign each microphone to a channel, for example, the left mic to the left channel and the right to the right channel, so you can get a full 360 sound effect. And one of the coolest things for people like me, or if you're doing a documentary, and for people who want to know if you're recording or not, there is a little light in the top left corner, which just pops up red when the camera is recording. On the side of the camera, you've got 2 card slot options. You've got SD card as well as the faster CFast card slot. And at the bottom of the camera, it uses a LPE6 battery. So for people who are currently using Canon systems, you'll rejoice because you'll have a gigantic amount of batteries for this system. And just a couple things about the design that I'm not too big of a fan of. The first thing being the button placements on the back on the thumb grip. So you've got your, I think it's the aperture as well as your focus button. It's literally on the thumb grip. So you've got to be careful when using the camera not to accidentally press it if you're going to be filming handheld. And the other thing about the camera is the doors on the left are really annoying. So they've got these like kind of port protector things at the back of it, and you really have to line it up exact for it to go in. So you might have to fidget around a bit before you can get these janky doors back in its place. So now we'll just go over the techie features of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera. The first thing is it houses a 4/3 full-size sensor and not a micro 4/3 sensor. The camera does have a micro 4/3 mount, which what happens is it does reduce the crop factor by a little bit. So you'll get a 1.9 times crop factor when filming on the camera. However, when you are filming in slow motion, it will crop to about a 3.8 times crop factor. In terms of its actual performance in low light, it does have a dual native ISO with a range up to 25,600. In addition to that, you do have 13 stops of dynamic range to work with in those files. Thirdly, it can record DCI 4K up to 60 frames per second and Full HD video up to 120 frames per second for that slow motion. And if you do download the latest firmware update for the Blackmagic camera, you will get Blackmagic RAW supported in the camera. So just quickly touching on the performance aspects of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera. The first being the autofocus mode. So we use mostly Canons for our systems, and we're quite big fans of the dual pixel AF and its continuous tracking features. So using it on this, it's okay. There is a bit of jittering and back and forth before it actually locks onto your subject. So if you are going to be doing a run and gun situation, we probably recommend using manual focus instead. However, if you do have time to set up your autofocus, then give it a shot. In terms of actually using the camera, because of its super lightweightness and size, you will get kind of a bit of micro vibrations when you're zooming in on those further ends of your lens. There isn't any kind of image stabilization in the body to really help you out there. So if you are going to be using your camera at those longer focal lengths, we probably recommend using a cage or a rig or even a stabilizer such as the Xeon Crane 3. And speaking of stabilizers, we've had a lot of customers coming in with difficulties with physically mounting the camera onto stabilizers, and that's because the mounting screw is so far from the grip. So a lot of people get cages, so basically you can get more spots that you can mount it onto a gimbal, and that should fix your issue. In terms of battery life, because the camera is running a lot of power off a tiny LPE6 battery, it doesn't last too long. We're getting around 30 to 40 minutes on the camera, which for most people who are doing full day jobs, this may not be ideal if you're going to be swapping batteries in and out all day. However, it does come with your 12-volt power supply, which you can run directly off all day. But if you are out on location, you will need to carry a lot of batteries with you to keep you powered with confidence.
Hello. Whoa, that sounds so weird. So I'm just about to start filming with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera, and there's three things that I picked up that are pretty cool about it already. Firstly, you're able to jump down to 5 frames per second, so that way you can actually create some little bit more stylized video in camera compared to doing it in like your editing software. Also, you're able to swipe right, and that will give you the ability to actually start naming your clips and naming your scenes, and also saving your videos in a certain project. So that way you can just start already culling your videos, and I think that is pretty cool. And the last thing is it's able to input LUTs directly into camera, which unlike other cameras is unable to do it. So directly into camera, you're able to see what your video is kind of going to look like, especially with this camera that it shoots RAW. So I really see this camera being really beneficial for mainly people that are shooting short films. For anyone shooting documentaries, this camera does chew up quite a lot of storage, especially because it does shoot RAW, but also it shoots ProRes directly in camera. So I think at this moment we're shooting Ultra HD at 422 ProRes, and it's probably going to give me about 16 minutes on a 64 gig card. So just to give you a rough idea.
Today we tested the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K with the Panasonic 12-35 f2.82. The footage that comes out of the camera is nothing short of fantastic. It is super smooth, cinematic, and hella sharp. We shot the footage on ProRes, and as expected it looks pretty flat in camera, so you will need to spend some time color grading the footage. One of the coolest things about the camera is having dual native ISO, giving you 2 native ISOs with minimal noise. The native ISOs are 400 and 3200, giving you super clean video in a variety of lighting environments. We really enjoyed the user experience and image quality coming out of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. For the price of the camera, there is really nothing on the market that compares to this on a cinema level quality, and this is exciting.
So for those who already own cinema cameras such as the Ursa Mini and are looking for a reliable B camera, or alternatively you want to break into the short film and documentary market without dropping more than $1,900 on a camera, then the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K is the perfect camera for you. It's got all the features and the image quality that you would seek out of a cinema camera in a nice and compact form factor, which really won't break your back or even your wallet. If you have any questions on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, pop them in the comments below. Make sure to follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and our blog, which links to those are in our description below, so you don't miss out on our latest events, sales, giveaways, and much more going on in store. And as always, if you enjoyed our video, hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our future updates as we upload videos weekly.